Totally forgot about that. That could have been a bit, that's could have been really annoying. So as I was saying, so what I want to do the first part of the session is to show you a complete workflow of how to implement an AI voice agent firewall. And the idea is to enable my AI agent to receive calls. And when I receive calls, basically, I want to whitelist the people calling into my agent. I want to be able to block them and explain how to do that. And when the agent calls out, I want to be able to block the destinations. I don't want to call specific phone numbers. I want to make sure I can't.
Or
Um,
ranges.
Ranges, I'm not going to do ranges right now because I'm going to do only the basic stuff. But whatever we do can be extended into ranges and regular expressions and whatever you want to do. And then we can talk about other ways of doing cooler things. But that's a different story altogether. And to Chad's luck, I decided to do the mix that I'm going to show. And by the way, none of this has been scripted, so that I have nothing pre-made. It's going to be completely ad hoc, like real time on everything. Um, so I'm going to basically use Telnix as my telephony provider. I'm going to use Cloudonx, of course. I'm going to use Retail as my AI voice agent, but you can replace Retail, VAPI, Ultravox, whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. Um, so that's pretty. So that's going to be the first session. The first part. Then this next part is going to be the regular AMA, and any topic is up for grabs on it. So let me just share my screen. Hmm. Oh, by the way, a very small plug-in, a very small plug into our discussion here. I don't know if you've seen this. Are you familiar with Noor?
Yeah.
Noor. I'm not really sure how to pronounce her name. So she's located in Cyprus, and she's doing really nice work in regards to open source AI voice agents, specifically working with LiveKit and PipeCat and all of these tools. And she created the open source voice AI community on the school. There are already 620. She just started last week, and there are already 620 members. I'm there. There are a lot of other people there. A very interesting bunch. All of them are very, very professional. These are not your typical, let's say, agencies. These guys are very hardcore AI developers. So that's a small plugin.
Very cool. Could you put that chat in the link? The link in the
Sure,
chat, I mean.
sure. There you go. It's a good idea. Where's the chat? Here we go. Noor herself is really, really good. She's very knowledgeable. You can look her up on LinkedIn, and she's really cool. Okay, so um, in order to do this, as I said, we need several things. We need a Telnix account. We need a Cloudonx account, of course, and we need a retail account. So I created a very simple retail agent from one of their templates. This is just for this use case, nothing more than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the entire workflow of building your Cloudonix domain, then connecting your Telnix system to Cloudonix, getting your phone number to work. Chad, that was awesome. um, Getting to get your phone number to be able to call into Cloudonix and get it over to your agent. So let's start. So here I have my personal account on Cloudonix. Normally, when I work, I use what I can refer to as the super admin user, but now I created my small account, and we'll basically start from scratch. This is how exactly you would do it as well. So I'm going to create a new Cloudonx domain. I'm going to create a Cloudonx subdomain. You can create your own fully qualified domain. It's up to you. And I'm going to call it velocity training, let's say 11/11/2025, just like that. Okay, and here's my domain. Now, you always need to remember that in Cloudonx, domains are unique. Okay, nobody can create two domains of the same name. It won't allow you to do so. One thing that is very important when you work with AI agents, and I get this question over and over and over again from Cloudonix users, is to enable what we call border-to-border calls. It's this little thing here. Do I need, can everybody see this, or do you want me to enlarge it? Do I want me to make it bigger?
We can see it.
Here we go. I'll make it a little bigger, just like that. So what are border-to-border calls? So in Cloudonix, we separate the world into two different environments. One is called the border and one is called subscribers. By default, border-to-border calls means calls that come in from the world and then go back into the world, where subscribers are connected devices to Cloudonix. They're users. So Cloudonix by default will not allow border-to-border calls or world-to-world routing. You need to enable it specifically. Okay? If this will not be enabled, then when you create a session or you make a call, you'll try to route over to, let's say, an AI, or from an AI to the world, you get a B2B false. Basically, border-to-border routing is false. So we have to enable this to make everything work here. And the next part that is very important is this. This is my inbound calls host name. This is where I want to send calls from Telnix to Cloudonix. And this is very, very important. A lot of people get this wrong, and they actually try copying this thing. And that's wrong, because this represents the subscriber part of the system. If you want to send calls into Cloudonix from Telnix, from Twilio, from a service provider, wherever you want in the world, you need to use this one. So I'm going to copy this one right now, and I'm going to move over to Telnix. Now in Telnix, I want to connect Telnix over to my Cloudonix account. I'm going to do it through what they call SIP trunking. On Twilio, it's called Elastic SIP trunking. On Plivo, it's called Zen trunk. Doesn't really matter. It's all the same kind of shit. They work a little differently, but this is the general gist. I'm going to create a new connection here, and I'm going to call it velocity session 1. And I'm going to use what's called an FQDN, fully qualified domain name. Now you have to remember this. We're using this because we're telling Telnix that it will be routing calls over to us using a special domain name. If we put it using, let's say, credentials or IP address, it's different. Well, with Cloudonix, you want to use the FQDN method because it makes life easier. Now I'm going to go here, ask it to create the connection. And now it goes in and says, okay, please add your FQDN. So I'm going to say here, okay, here's my FQDN. Just like that. Now, this point here is a little confusing. What's called the inbound calls routing. Don't, and I do mean don't, define it. If you will define it, what will happen is that you may end up creating a loop going back into yourself. I did that mistake at the beginning multiple times. So just don't do it. Now, I'm going to say, okay, for inbound calls, I'm saying, okay, route my call, all of my inbound calls into my primary FQDN, which was defined here. Okay. Now here's the funky bit. You can define multiple FQDNs here. So for example, you can create multiple Cloudonix domains for multiple, I don't know, agents. I have no idea what anybody would like to do that, but you can create multiple domains with multiple inbound domain names and then just fail over between them. But for sake of simplicity here, we're going to use only this. Now, outbound calls, we're going to use credentials. So I'm going to say here, for example, username, we're going to call it Cloudonx, well, CLX underscore velocity. And we're going to use this the same for our password. Okay, next. Must contain any letters and numbers, not spacing. Ah, of course. Cloudonx velocity with a V. Didn't like that. Okay, now we're in the second part. Basically, now it says, okay, I can define an application. I can do whatever I want. Not really interesting. One thing that you can add here, where is that? Generate comfort noise is something nice. You want that. And here you just click on next. It's DKMF, fine. In this area here, okay, it says E164, E164. Okay, we're going to change everything to E164. Basically, the international phone number without a plus. No plus here. We can say if we do plus E164, then basically it will require a plus. So we do E164, just like that. SIP region, United States, not really required. Channel limit is not interesting. We're not doing any encryption, although we can. Receive SIP compact headers, please remove it. Okay, if you're using it, you can use it. You can definitely use it. But if you do that when you look in Cloudonx into the SIP traces, things are going to look a little funny. So just remove the SIP compact header so you can read it easily. Everything else stays identical, and then we click on next. Now, outbound voice profile default. Now, I enabled the US and Canada for outbound calling on my account because we're going to be able enable calling into the US or Canada. And the localization is United States. Everything here looks okay. Instant ringtone, generate ringback tone. This is important in most cases. Is basically tells the trunk to, instead of use simple 180, to use 183, and that's called a remote ringback tone. So we know actually the call is ringing on the other side. And basically, I have a number that I previously bought, and I'm going to assign it to this trunk. And now the entire setup is complete. Now I need a volunteer, basically, to call this number. Matt, can you try calling this number?
I'm on it.
You're on it? Awesome.
Yeah.
You should get an error message.
13328 for 100.
You seem to be missing an outbound trunk in your domain setup. Please add an outbound trunk.
Perfect. Okay, that's a Cloudonx message saying basically, I got the call. I have no freaking idea what you want me to do with it. How can we see it? Here's Matt's call. Here's the phone number, right? Matt, this is your phone number, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
No.
now we want to connect retail, right? We want to take our number and make it available on retail. So let's do it like this. So we go into retail and we go into phone numbers. And I'm going to connect to your number via SIP. So first of all, I'm going to take my phone number and I'm going to put it here. Then I'm going to go into Cloudonx into my inbound trunks, copy this little thing again. And I'm gonna put it here. And now I'm just gonna say Cloudonx, just like that. Okay. Now I can put here a plus to make things orderly and nice because that's how retail likes it. And we're basically done. Now you can see that the number is created here with 7,400. Now it has no agent assigned to it. So I'm going to assign my agent. I'm going to say, okay, this is going to be both an inbound agent and an outbound agent. And Matt,
On the way.
it won't work. You know why?
Oh, okay. Not yet.
It won't work. Why won't it work? Because right now, that number is not yet assigned on Cloudonx. The number just gets to Cloudonx, but we need to connect it over to retail. So in order to do that, we're going to go here into what's called container applications. And I created this itty bitty script. Hold on a second. Let me just close the door here. Some noise outside. Sorry for that. Now, so I created this little script, which is called inbound routing to voice agent. So this script does something very simple. By the way, it's taken basically, it's this little script from our developer website with some modifications. So basically what this script does, it basically takes the inbound call, it will look at the caller ID, and if the caller ID, the origin appears in this blacklist, it will basically not let that person dial in. It's as simple as that. So let's have a look. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go back into my domain. Here we go. And I'm going to go into applications. And I'm going to create application name, inbound call router. I'm going to select the container application. And I'm going to select my block. Basically, a container application can have multiple blocks, and we can decide which block we want to activate. So one application can do a lot of things. So I now created the application, and here's my application. Now I need to take my phone number. I'm going to go back into my application, and I'm going to say, okay, so I want to activate this application when this phone number is being dialed. So what happens now is that if Matt will dial the number, we should get retail.
Hi, this is Kate from Retail Health Appointment Department. Am I speaking with Cindy?
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, pretty cool, right? Pretty simple to do. Nothing too fancy here. Now, let's make things interesting. I'm going to go back into my container application, and I'm going to open a new tab with my container application. It's going to go back into my domain. So here is my container application. See here? So this is my inbound. Now, let's say that I would like to make Matt's life really hard when calling this number because I want to block his number because he's potentially a fraudster. So I'm going to take his phone number and put it here. And what will happen is that the minute Matt will call the system, it should just immediately hang up. Try calling it again. So what happens here? So here's what happens. So when a call comes in to Cloudonx, it activates this little bit of JavaScript. What's called EV is the inbound event. Basically, it's an object that includes all the information of the inbound call. For example, who's calling, to where they're dialing, the session ID, call ID, anything that Cloudonx has about that session. And then it does the following. It creates the retail routing. This is the CXML to dial to retail. And then it goes out and checks my blacklist origin. It says, okay, if I'm going to find that number here, I'm going to return true. Means I'm going to return the value here. It means that that number is blacklisted. And if not, it's going to return a false. If it returns a false, basically, it will use the previous result, which was this, the retail routing. If not, it's going to create this rejection saying, just hang up the call. I'm not letting you in. Simple as that. So in this scenario, this is the inbound. Now the outbound, I specifically did not create the outbound. Why didn't I create the outbound? Because I wanted to show you how I'm doing it from scratch. Okay. Now, basically, I need to go into my Cloudonx domain, and I need to create an outbound trunk that will carry my calls over to Telnix. So I'm going to create a new outbound trunk. Well, Telnix outbound. Now, Telnix is always a little funky. Why is it funky? Because voice is handled in a very interesting way. So it's always authentication. So CLX velocity. Okay, and because I never remember all of this, we'll say Telnix SIP trunking setup. Step by step. And then SIP connection. So, okay, see, it goes siptelnix.com. So I'm going to go here and say siptelnix.com. Prefix. Basically, when I dial, I need to put a plus on Telnix. And I'm going to use this as my username password. Now, you don't need these two here because they don't do registration. It's just a normal workflow. Let's say create. And now I have an outbound trunk over to Telnix. Now you can see here that the trunk is here and I can see it. Now, if I did everything the right way, okay, and I will now take my agent, where's retail? I'm going to take Matt's phone number and I'm going to say make outbound call to this number. This is Matt's phone number. If everything went the right way, Matt should be getting a phone number now, a phone call now. Ooh, external. It didn't like it. Okay, error. Invalid. Ooh, the plus, too many pluses. Sure. So we're going to come here. Delete this. Save it. And I'm going to go back into retail. See, now. Sessions. Still external. Okay, why does it like it? Out to Telnix outbound. Account is disabled. D17. What the hell does that mean? Let's see what it means. Telnix has like the worst ever error reports, really. Such deliverables, no. SIP call flow, search, call data, 50, that's the last one.
It shows my number is originating. Is that right?
Let's see. 603 declined from 121 from, wait a minute, invite 7400 1213. That's wrong. From one, no, that's That's plain wrong.
I'm not the origin.
Well, that's your phone number, right?
Yes, but I'm not the origin. I'm the destination.
Yeah, because I made an outbound call.
Yeah. But on one of the screens, it showed that I was the origin. I thought.
Yeah, it's a different. I just copied it from there.
Okay.
That was the idea. Call. Let's see, sessions. Okay, let's see what's going on. So caller, destination.
Okay.
Call to 15825. SIP trace. So it's calling you on our system, and then Telnix can be annoying. Call. There you go. Dialing into Telnix. SIP Telnix. Trying. Account is disabled. Call rejected. Why is the account disabled? Did I do something wrong? Let's see. Real-time communications, voice, programmable voice. No. SIP trunking. This looks okay. Settings. Global. Voice channels. Reserve. Not interesting. Steer shaken. No. Voice integrations. Not interesting. Let's see. RTP. Indicating routing. CLX velocity. CLX velocity. You see subdomain calls. Round robin. So this is the inbound, outbound. Stay caller ID override. No, channel limit. Maybe this. Save. Numbers. It's assigned. Okay, let's see. Just make sure. Okay. Register with SIP gateway. Okay, let's do this. Oh, maybe it wants, no, doesn't make any sense. Save. Okay, let's try again. Oh, account is disabled. Why is the account disabled? Change. Okay, that's interesting. Let's try something else. So
Is there an error code on that error message?
there's no error code, so I'm not really sure. Token. Okay. A string that must be sent in a custom P charge. Yeah. So I'm going to tech prefix. Good. The IP here going to be Cloudonx's IP. It's basically the border IP. By the way, if you want to know what the IP is, you can just ping the inbound FQDN. It's the same. The inbound host name is the same one. Find that the connection added to an outbound profile does not share an IP address with the connection already associated with an outbound profile. If you want to share IP across the internet to make outbound calls, you must add a tech prefix. Sure. No prefix. You're going to do a tech prefix here of 7878. And I'm going to save. Add IP. Add IP. Save. Okay. And we're going to do this. You're going to go back to Cloudonx. Outbound. Edit this. Remove this. And we're going to say 7878. Prefix. Save it. Okay. Let's see. There's just one thing that I think of, but figure it out in a sec. Oops. Tell. Call. Ah, here we go. Matt, is it ringing?
Yeah. Hello.
Hi, this is Kate from the appointment department at Retail Health. Am I speaking with Cindy?
No.
Okay, so you can disconnect. So we now have an outbound workflow. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to change how Cloudonix behaves. Now, if you can look here in the applications, you see this little application here. It's called call routing. Yeah.
Can I ask, what was the issue? Why did it?
But basically the way the authentication worked.
Okay.
They didn't like that. So call routing. So call routing is the default voice application of any domain. What call routing actually does is that it will handle, and the default application will always handle any phone call or any call that is made to a phone number that is not defined as an application. So basically, it's like a catch-all for everything. This is the default one. Now, we don't want that behavior. We want the default application to be the one that dials out through Telnex, right? But we want to manipulate it. We want to control it. So we're going to change that. So how are we going to do that? So first of all, we're going to go back into our routing, into our container application. I'm going to take this code because this code is nice. And I'm going to create a block that is going to be called, just a sec, outbound routing. So I'm going to create a new block and I'm going to call outbound routing to Telnex. And it's going to be a JavaScript. Again, I'm going to just paste my code in here. But I'm going to say this is no longer blacklist this origin. I'm saying blacklist destinations. I'm going to say destinations. And here. Now, this is no longer dialed to retail, it's dialed to Telnex. And I'm going to say dial, caller ID, trunks equals. Now, my trunk name, my outbound trunk name is Telnex outbound. Where's that? Like this. And I'm going to say here, instead of service provider, because we no longer need the service provider, we just need the phone number. So I'm going to make this a little shorter. And this will basically create the outbound call. Now, because I want to make sure that if a call is rejected, I want retail to actually show it was rejected. So instead of using hang up, I'm going to use a different verb here, which is called reject. And I'm going to say reject. And congestion, for example. Reason equals congestion. So I'm going to go back here and then say here, instead of hang up, I'm going to say reject. Reason equals congestion. Okay, I can do congestion, I can do busy, failed, or rejected. Let's do rejected, meaning I don't want this call here. And the call here, now because we're sometimes dialing with a plus and sometimes without a plus, for sake of being very, very simplistic here, I'm going to just put the two options as blacklisted. So this is blacklist destinations. And basically, I'm going to do this. I'm going to create this block. And I'm now going to go into my applications. I'm going to create a new application. It's going to say outbound call router to Telnix container. I'm going to take my container. I'm going to take the outbound block. I'm going to create it. Now here comes the beautiful part. I'm going to go into my settings and I'm going to change my default application to be the outbound call router. Basically saying, okay, I want all the applications that if anything doesn't match, just use that voice application. And as you can see, the voice application moved to this one. Now I'm going to go back into retail and I'm going to try and dial again. Back into retail, make an outbound call, plus this. And basically this should fail. Now if I go into Cloudonx cockpit, reload, see, it got an immediate cancel because I actually, dial to retail is not defined. That's a bug on my side. Hosted application. Of course it's not defined because there is no dial to retail. It's dial to Telnix. Update. Okay, let's do it again. All. Now if we go here, ringing. You're getting a phone call? Matt? Is it dialing? Is it ringing? Yeah. You're muted, by the way, dude. Okay, so you're okay. Let's see what happened. So I'm going to disconnect it.
Yeah, it's ringing. Sorry.
Okay, let's see what happened. Okay, and then I got an error.
It was ringing.
It was ringing. Yeah, I saw it was ringing. Let's see what happened. Okay, session log. So it actually dialed out. Why did it dial out? Let's see. Caller ID. Oh, of course. Because I forgot to change something. Because I'm looking at the from, but I actually need to look at the to. I'm looking at the destination for the outbound. So I'm going to update. And we're going to do the test again. Oh. Let's see. Busy immediately. And you can see in the log, session log says rejected. Now, basically, I have these two scripts that I can modify my container applications here to add more numbers. I can do whatever I want. I can go about and make these scripts to be more capable by using regular expressions. I can create prefixes. I can do a whole bunch of stuff. I have full control. I can use the same concept and use external resources like N8N to write something, to build a script that will do the same thing. But the thing is that when you do it internally like this with container applications, it just works much faster. So you can do it by that. So now we have like a very basic voice firewall that we can put in front of our retail or VAPI agent, and whatever we want to blacklist, either on the inbound or the outbound, we can do it in like 1 second, no big deal. The concept applies to any other platform and any other voice agent. For example, let's take VAPI.
Is there a way to proactively so this blacklisting processes you would have to be aware of the problematic number or blacklist a suite, as Eric was saying, of them.
Correct.
Okay.
So one of the things, for example, that the Cloudonx termination, our interconnects with our carriers for outbound calls. So our interconnects do it for you. So we actually have full sets of numbers and ranges and so on. For example, in the US, we're now adding the UK, we're adding Canada in the next week, that automatically are blocked. So we know very well where not to dial, from the sets of hundreds of thousands of prefixes and locations that we know about. But it is an ongoing issue. It's an ongoing problem, and all the carriers are working on it in collaboration. The thing is that one of the questions that people asked is, should the AI voice agent companies such as Retail and VAPI provide this kind of functionality? It's a very interesting question because where does the responsibility for that fall? Does it fall on Telnix or Twilio, or does it fall on VAPI or Retail? If you
So
ask VAPI and Retail, they'll tell you Telnix's problem or Twilio's problem, not my problem. And if you ask Twilio or Telnix, they'll do the exact same thing.
we we talked about this for a few times, and coming into here, I had the same opinion until you phrased the question today, and now I think that um, so you can go take your car if you have a Honda to the Honda mechanic.
Right.
If you have a BMW to the BMW dealership, both will change oil, change your battery, or maintenance your car.
Correct.
However, when you go into the BMW dealership, you have craft coffee, you have donuts, you have a whole completely different experience than you do at the Honda dealership. So where I'm going is now with Agenics and the way that you could build platforms pretty easy and open source voice AI, soon someone will be able to build a VAPI very, very simply. So potentially a defensible moat could be by way of customer service and the protection of the customers and that extra thing.
I
No?
disagree. I
Okay.
disagree.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. It will
Just a
take,
thought. Just a
yeah,
thought.
let's put it this way. Let's say take VAPI, Retail, doesn't matter which company.
Yep.
For them to integrate a fraud management system, a telephony fraud management system into their existing workflows will require them to hire a team of 10 to 15 people. They'll have no return on investment, none whatsoever. And the reason is that the analytical data that they require in order to do it, they don't have it. That's number one. Number two is that the changes in these realms are so fast, they can occur 3 times a day. So you may end up in a situation where there are number ranges that go up and down 2, 3 times a day and change all the time. and you'll end up in a situation where you just can't follow it. And you'll need a full-time person or set of to be able to follow all of it. It just won't be sustainable. Okay. The idea with the tool that I showed with this concept is that you can say, okay, I'm not going to dial any number outside of California because I'm going to focus my campaign in California. And the numbers for California are very well known. We know the prefixes for that. You have several, area codes, or you're going to say, I'm going to pinpoint my outbound campaign to a very specific geographic area, like several neighborhoods in Manhattan. Maybe, you're going to say you got the New York four boroughs, and you're going to say, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something else. So you can definitely do that. That is the correct way of doing things and of pinpointing whatever you want to do. Okay. So
the solution is best practices.
the solution is to make sure that you use the best practice all the time. Is to come in and say, okay, I'm going to make sure that whenever I dial, I'm going to make sure that I do it the cleanest way possible. Yeah.
So Nir,
yeah.
if you wanted to dial only specific neighborhoods in Manhattan, like you were saying, would you have to exclude every other area code, or could you
Or do it the other way around? Just include the ones you want.
Just include the ones you want.
Yeah.
So you'd have to include every phone number, or could you just put the area code and it could call people in that area code?
You can. So the scripts that I showed, they can be extended. I can use regular expressions or prefixes to create, all sorts of things. I can decide, for example, something. Let's take this example. Okay, so this is the outbound. Now I said that if the outbound here is Matt's phone number, okay, then I'm going to reject it. Let's switch the logic. Okay. Let's say function. Let's call it geofence prefix. Okay. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but whatever. Now I'm going to say let destination equals EV parameters 2. Basically, I'm going to take the destination right now. Okay. And I'm going to say, okay, let's take first, let's say JavaScript get first character of string. Characters of string. Substring. Here we go. So I'm going to say substring 3. So it's going to be 0 to 3. Okay, 0 to 4 actually. So it's going to be, where is that? So I'm going to say so we're going to assume, for sake of simplicity here, that we always get numbers with a plus. Okay? We always get a full E164 number. So I'm going to say let prefix equals destination, and substring 0, and give me 4 characters. So that is 0. Oops, sorry. Basically means give me all the characters from the first character, which is always 0. And 3 is actually the 4th character. So I'm going to get like the plus, the 1, and I want 3 digits. So it's actually plus 1 and 3 more. It's actually, I need 0 to 5, 0 to 4. Sorry. I got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 digits. And now I'm going to say if, I'm going to say here, I'm going to have, let's say prefixes. Okay. And I'm going to say that whatever is in the following prefix list I'm actually allowing to be dialed. So this is going to be 1512, which will cover Matt's phone number. And I'm going to say true. And I'm going to say if uh, prefixes, prefix. Basically, I'm looking for this undefined, return false. Basically, I'm saying if the prefix is not defined, block the call. Just return a false. I'm not allowing it to pass through. But if it does, then I'm saying, okay, just return what you got. Okay, so this basically says, okay, if I'm dialing out to 1512, let the call out. I'm allowing it to go out, and I'm going to say geofence prefix, and here I'm just going to take if geofence prefix. Actually, it's not if geofence prefix, it's actually if not geofence. Basically, if geofence prefix returns a false, reject the call. If it comes out with a true, just let it pass. And I'm going to say update. And if I did everything correctly, which is going to be amazing because my JavaScript sucks. Okay, make an outbound call. Plus, let's see what happens. Call. Ooh, busy. Call got rejected. Session log rejected. Why was it rejected? Let's see. So I got 1512. Um, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, maybe I did something wrong. So because as I said, I really suck at JavaScript. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say JavaScript sandbox, JS, which is an awesome tool. I'm going to put my JavaScript in here. And I'm going to say let ev input equals parameters to say that number, that one. Seriously? I'm going to say here 2 like this. And I'm going to say console log geofence prefix input. And let's see what happens. False. So it gave me back a false. Okay, let's try to figure out what should have actually given back a true. Console prefix. Let's see what the prefix is. Console log. 1512. Oh, it came in without a plus. Got it. Okay, that's the reason. So I'm going to come here, say prefixes, say 1512, just like that. Update. And we're going to go back into retail. And the number. Call. And we're still getting a rejection. Why is that? Session log still rejected. Interesting. Okay. Plus, oh, because it's a plus. 151 L 145. Okay, so we need 5. Okay, it's a little bit of a parser error. Okay, so it's going to be 5. And there's going to be plus Update. I'm going to try it again. Cool. There we go. And now basically I whitelisted 512 area code. Okay, and you can see that Matt's phone is ringing. That's like,
Hi, this is Kate from.
basically this is a
Great,
little
thanks.
bit, just extending the use case. Now, let's say I want to connect this to VAPI. Okay, I'll go into VAPI. I'll go into integrations. Scroll down their, pardon my expression, horrific setup screen. Really like, I don't know why they do this. And I'm going to copy this. Again, same concept. Go this, I'm going to say velocity. Velocity session 1. Put my domain here. I'm going to remove the inbound calls here. Now, here's something that you need to remember about VAPI. There is a bug on VAPI. And it's an annoying one. It shows like that allow inbound and allow outbound. You need to remove the allow inbound, because if you have both of them enabled, basically it won't create the BYO zip trunk. Number 2, on VAPI, you don't really need an inbound BYO trunk as long as you use real E164 numbers, because their space is flat. That's how they work. So basically, I create my zip trunk. And I'm going to go into my phone numbers. And I'm going to create a phone number. Sessions, which is this phone number. VAPI, I'm going to create phone number. BYO plus. Okay, and I'm going to set, these are my credentials. I'm going to say Cloudonx plus this, import. Okay, now I have my number in here. I'm going to select my agent. And I'm going to save it. I'm going to go back into Cloudonx. And here I'm just going to take the inbound. And I'm just going to say, instead of retail, I'm going to say Valkyrie. Update. Matt, you try dialing? Oh, you're blocked. Pardon for that. Update. Try again. You were blocked. You were blacklisted.
Next, this is Vicky. How can I help you today?
Okay, now I'm going to ask her to call you. Again, same concept. I'm going to go back into the sessions. Now you can see that I'm using the exact same code. I didn't change anything. It's identical. The only thing I changed the inbound, and that's it. Now I'm going to make an outbound call. I'm going to do here. I'm going to call Matt. Oops. Okay. That's formatted like that. And I'm going to say make a call. That's it. Matt should be getting a call now. Oh, busy. Why is that busy? Because session log rejected zip trace. Let's see what, oh, we got the number without a plus. See? So VAPI sends it without a plus. So let's see if we can change that. Say +1. Okay, let's see if this helps them make a call. Still busy. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into my script because this comes from VAPI. And I'm going to say, okay, so I'm going to say, instead of 5, I want it to be a 4. I'm going to remove the 1512, the plus, update, go back into VAPI, and make another call. And if I did everything correctly, Matt's phone should be ringing. There you go. Okay, answer it. See that it's that.
Welcome to Cloudonx. This is Vicky. How can I help you today?
You want me to do live kit now? Or maybe 11 labs? Exact same thing. Same concept. Same trick. You know something? Let's do something funky. Let's do something funky. This is not really what I planned, but sure. Let's go nuts. How
Quick
about
question. Oh,
what?
quick question.
Yeah.
So for marketing campaigns or any kind of declarative way you want only certain numbers to dial, for example, 512, Austin, what happens? Everybody has a cell phone. I have a neighbor who has a California number. I have a neighbor who has a Oregon number.
Again, so the idea is, here's the idea. So geofencing, okay? When you do geofencing, you will run into that problem. But again, you can say, okay, I'm willing to, I want to call specific prefixes. I want to concentrate on Texas and California. I want to focus on Texas landlines in specific geographic locations. I want to focus on something else. The idea here is not so much that you're creating, so you'll never do a campaign to numbers that you didn't vet, right? You created some form on the internet, you had a database that you collected of a whole bunch of phone numbers, right? So you're going to go through the numbers. Now, the idea is that you know that there are specific prefixes in the US that are really expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to say, okay, I'm going to make sure whatever people put in there, I'm going to just not, I'm going to disregard it. Just like that. That's the idea. At the end of the day, it is your responsibility, as the AI operator. You own the AI agent. You need to be able to say, okay, I want to do that or not, want to use it or not. There are places in the world that something here. Here's a funny bit. Okay, let's say that your AI agent is only supposed to be working in the US, and you have people filling your forms from all kinds of countries. And today, you're going to let your AI agent run wrong, run wild. It will start calling all kinds of countries. This is what happened to people because it started calling Spain and calling the UK and Germany and all kinds of places. So, do you want this specific to the US? You want it specific Canada? You want to do it, UK only? It's up to you.
Yeah.
This thing can be extended to do all sorts of things. It can be extended to create load balancing for inbound calls. It can be extended to doing, if for example, here I'm going to take this little code here, okay?
Be right back.
What?
Oh, I'll be right back.
Okay. So let's imagine that I'm going to take this little code here, okay? And I'm going to take here and I'm say JavaScript timestamp. Okay. And basically I'm saying get date like this. This is my timestamp. Okay, let's see. So if I'm going to do here, console log timestamp. Okay, so this will give me this number. Now say, let's say prime equals timestamp modulo 2. Basically, it means take the number take the timestamp, divide it by 2, and just give me the remainder. So the remainder will either be either a 0 or a 1 because I'm dividing by 2. So it will look like this. See? So basically every second it should replace, it should change size. So I'm going to take this here, go back here, I'm going to paste this code, itty bitty code in here. Okay. Now I'm going to say let this, and now I'm going to say let provider equals prime equals 0. I'm going to say VAPI. No, say retail. Not sure that this is the right JavaScript trinary operator. Just to make sure that I wrote it correctly as a, of course, condition. Yeah, I wrote it correctly. Cool. Then remember if I wrote it right. And provider, this, what is it? Use compare, sure, yeah. Provider, I'm going to say here, provider. And I'm going to say this is the inbound update. Now, basically, if Matt is going to call that number now, okay, so one time it should potentially dial to retail, and the other one should dial to VAPI. Should get like 2 different agents on the same number.
Hi, this is Kate from Retail Health Appointment Department. Am I speaking with Cindy?
Okay, now dial again. Let's see if you get to Vicky.
This is Vicky. How can I help you today?
So one phone number, 2 agents on 2 different platforms running at the same time.
I mean, that's that's really valuable for testing your scripts and seeing what's working and right.
Yeah. It's not only that, you can use this also for A/B testing because for example, on retail, you can route the call into different agents or different versions of the same agent using what's called a pre-call webhook. You can do that. You can say, okay, I have the same agent working both on retail and VAPI. They do the same task, but I want to know which one will perform better. Potentially, which one's voice is better, which one's transcriber is better. I want to be able to do it in real time. I want to be able to use multiple ones. So all of these, itty bitty little things you can do. That's the beautiful part.
Pretty powerful, especially you have one DID, one phone number, and it's a popular one, and you want to cross regions.
You can do a lot of stuff, look, one of the, we're now getting, one of the things we're now getting, let me stop the recording for now. Okay, because we basically covered what I wanted to show. So again,
What was a really crazy thing?
yeah. So as I said, this thing can be extended in so many ways. So one of the things that I really like doing is called velocity tracking. None related to velocity, the velocity program. Velocity tracking basically means that I track the number of calls being made from a specific phone number or to a specific phone number or from a specific prefix set or to a specific prefix set in a preset time frame. So for example, if I see that there are a lot of calls coming in from a specific prefix or specific number, then I can assume that this is potentially some kind of attack on my system. Somebody's trying to do something funky. And I need to go in and figure out what it is. Okay. For example, if I have an inbound voice agent and suddenly I'm seeing a shitload of inbound calls coming in from a specific geographical area that I'm not really giving services in, something is definitely going funky there.
What about if you ran a commercial and it ran at 7 a.m. and you got these calls coming in from Oregon because it ran locally in Oregon at 7 a.m.
Again, it's something that you need to expect. So that's called velocity tracking. But you need to be able to track it according to what your use case.
Perfect.
Another thing that you can do is one of the things that I like doing when it comes to managing outbound campaigns is to integrate social networks. So, for example, being able to look up a specific phone number on an outbound campaign, for example, do they have WhatsApp or not? Do they have Facebook or not? Can I find them? Do I know something about that number before I even dial it out? It's basically to make your lists, to increase their quality. Think of it like a quality score for each one of your destinations. These are things most people don't even think about. So that's that. So as I said, so basically, what I want to show is basically how you can do this use case, and you can extend it like to do a whole bunch of stuff, ranging from A/B testing for inbound, for outbound. You can mix and mash various services. You can come in and extend the offering of what your agency does beyond just building the voice agent. Because as an agency, this makes your agency much stickier because you're giving to the customer way more than just the agent. And you're adding more capabilities. Okay, so let me just stop the recording for now. Okay.